Hi there, it's me, Jordan Van Haslo. Welcome to Jordan Van Haslo and Friends live on Hot 702.5 FM Las Vegas. Let's get on with the show. Welcome to another episode of Showtime with Jordan Van Haslo and Friends right here on Hot 702.5 FM Las Vegas. I am so excited to be sitting down with our friend today. She's been my friend for quite a few years. We met in a business sense and we became two peas in a pod. We actually produced a couple of things together, one of which was, if some of you might remember, back in the days when we were on Clubhouse, we hosted a really great show called House of Music, and we interviewed lots and lots and lots of really great R&B stars, music stars of the 80s and the 90s. And this woman sits right in the heart of all of that. If Jennifer motherfucking Lewis is the mother of Black Hollywood, I say that our next guest is the project ops manager of old school R&B. So without further ado, please welcome my friend, Jill Monroe. Hi, Jill.
Hi, Jordan. Thank you so much. That intro, I need to take that and I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt and just like, hey, this is what I do. This is exactly what I've done in my life. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. How are you? How's the weather there? You're in St. Louis right now, right?
I'm in St. Louis right now. The weather's decent. It's been a little cold the last few weeks. I think it dropped below 20 degrees below zero. But again, if you've lived in the Midwest or if you lived in St. Louis, everyone knows the motto: if you don't like the weather, just wait, it'll change tomorrow. So that is the motto here. So yeah, it isn't too bad. It isn't too bad.
Well, that's good. That's good. What are you up to right now? What are you working on?
Oh my gosh, Jordan, what am I not working on? It's been a lot of changes since the overall pandemic has kind of died down a little bit, and everyone's is what the kids say, we're all outside now. So, we're back outside this year.
Passing
Working on
COVID still.
yes, yeah, and COVID, still COVID, because it's apparently a thing. So, with that being considered, right now, just getting phone calls for events and stuff. Usually what I do is I support a lot of artists, a lot of actors, singers, when it comes to talent liaison work. So as of now, I've been getting calls for events this summer. I can't per se announce those events just yet because we're still going through the whole contract review process. But hopefully I can announce some things very, very, very soon.
All right, cool. I know we talked about, I feel like most of our conversations throughout the years have been work related since we usually were in the middle of projects. And so I know I learned a little bit about your background and how you got into what you do. But like, how did you get into what you do? Start at the beginning. You were born and then what happened?
I was born and then I became. That's what happened. So that's what happened. And being totally serious, I always had an interest in media and technology stuff and music and stuff since I was a kid. So my background, in high school, I always worked around music. My one of my first like paying jobs was working at a music store many, many moons ago. Yeah, when people bought music actually at the store. So you
When
went
there
in,
was a music, when there was a music store. Are there any
yes.
music stores left? I was thinking about this because like there's no major chains left. I think in Chicago, George's Music Room, I think, is still open. But I was thinking about that. Our Jose, his stepfather used to own a music store in Manhattan.
Oh wow.
He came over. Jose came over with all this swag when he was relocating to Miami Beach. He came over with all this swag, and he's given me Downtown Records, it was called. And he came with all these swag. So like he gave me like I got like Guns N' Roses t-shirts and like
nice.
stuff
I
that
want
was
some.
like left. I miss the music store though. Like I remember, I mean, I know like we have the algorithm on the Spotify and it like tells you should, but I remember I used to go into Tower Records and you had the listening post and you'd see like, oh, that album cover looks interesting. Let's just put it on and check it out. And you'd find some really cool things. I also remember, you know how the cast singles were all 99 cents. And
Right.
we just buy them. And sometimes I was like, I have no idea who this person is, but they're good looking. So what the hell, 99 cents, throw it back. And sometimes it was great. Sometimes it was a
Yeah.
death. What can you do? But anyways, you worked at a music store. Was it one of the chains? Was it like Musicland, Sam Goody, or was it like
Um,
a mom and pop
it
shop?
was like it was a regional chain. And forgive me because it's the middle of where I'm at right now, so I can't remember the chain. Forgive me to my old
Coconuts?
record store crew. I think we were related to that company. Yeah, it was a smaller chain out of the Midwest. Disc jockey. I worked for a chain called Disc Jockey. They were big in like Missouri, Kentucky, I think Indiana, Illinois, stuff like that. So I worked there. And the cool thing is about the thing with me, with my life, like I've always had some job. I've always worked. Like I was the one that, I hung on high school and had fun and did all the, acting thing. But then I still had a gig. I always had my own money. That was a big thing for me. So I worked at the record store in town. And so, if you came to the mall, you saw me. So that was like the job. If you wanted a job that wasn't boring, it wasn't just not great, I had that job and it was really nice. But like you said, Jordan, like it was cool because I got exposed to so much music. Like growing up again in the Midwest and the South as well, where I'm from, um, you're exposed to a lot of different types of music. So I grew up with country, I grew up with rap, I grew up with rock, I grew up with pop, soul, I mean R&B, funk, heavy metal, you name it. So being at a record store allowed me to kind of expand that palette of music and really just grow. And my friends like jazz, my friends had rock. So me coming in, I had the whole R&B thing. Your Jodeci, your Mary J. Blige, your Janet Jackson, Mariah Carey at that time, because this is like the 90s. So, that was the thing to kind of be involved with 702. And being at that store kind of helped expand that. And like you said, I got like freebies, which that was awesome. So yeah.
Yeah. How'd you move out of so what was like the next? Like so as you went on and moved on to just to adulthood, how did you
Yeah.
make your foothold into the industry outside of retail music?
So yeah, that's actually a great question. So, for me, I always stay close to a school like environment. So I went to undergrad and got involved with music there, and also got heavily involved in media. So, I was able to be on a major college campus that allowed me to really expand and grow. And I got more into media at that point. Music was important, but there at that time I kind of saw what was coming up on the overall horizon for music and the changes that we saw.
Oh, because
And
this
it's
is
like
like the time of like Napster and things.
Napster, and yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember being an undergrad and going to my friend's dorm room, and they had like the monster computers where they were just doing all sorts of activities that was not legal. And we didn't, we were kids. I didn't know that. Like, they had all the albums that came out because again, Record Store Tuesday, new album Tuesday, and they had it that night. It's like, well, you didn't go to the store, so where did that come from? So,
Yeah.
being a part of that, seeing that, and then it's like, yeah, I want to get more into media, and so that's what I did. So I worked on campus. I worked at student newspaper on campus, and eventually got a job in management there. And so I kind of focused on that. So I learned about the business and learned about advertising and cable and television. And it was one thing to be a part of production, but then I wanted to learn behind the scenes as far as like, well, what does this person do? And why is it the person that works in advertising makes more money than the person reading the actual news? And that's where that became to be,
And
where
then
I
you're
got
like, oh,
involved with
because they're the
media,
ones who's actually bringing in the
making the
money.
money, right? Boom, right. That's like, oh, okay, like bright light. And I had some friends that work in the business that said, if you get into advertising, we actually make the money for the business. Like the talking head brings people to watch or to read or listen, but the people that actually make the money are the ad guys or the ad women. So that's what I got involved with.
That's cool. So you did ad sales, or did you like
I
what
did.
or like
So
television, radio? What was it?
So I am probably one of the few people that I'm an oldie but goodie. I'm not old, but I'm oldie but goodie. So I worked in the ad space working for newspapers. So we actually had a print press on campus, and I would go back in the print press, and the guys would lay out the paper. I would help them lay out the paper, actually physically take the paper and the different ads and the old school. Again, you guys are like, "What's newspaper?" That's okay. So would go in and we would
What's
lay out the
paper?
paper. Yeah, I know, right? Like we had these large reams of paper. We had a really like a large print press. I would go back there in my outfit, in my little corporate outfit in undergrad and college and be all professional. And we would be back there laying out that paper. And I would deliver the paper on campus. We had some at that time probably unsafe trucks, but we didn't know any better because I was a young adult. And between classes, I would go and deliver the paper. And then, hop back in the truck, my little high heels, my little skirt, and smell like gas and oil, and go back to the office and drop off the paper around town if that was my day to do it, or if the guys weren't available. So I just did it. And then I'd go back in the office and work and take phone calls for sales ads and train the team. And that was my job. And then also go to class as well.
Yeah. Yowzer. So once
Yeah.
you left school, did you continue working in print media?
I did, yeah. And one thing I'll say too is that while I was attending school in undergrad, I also focused in working in the audio space. So I did complete my degree within radio. So I'm one of the few handful of Black women that completed my studies there, focused in the audio space. So it was myself and then a classmate of mine. So we are the one. We're just two of us, like the first two.
That
Also, yeah. So a lot of people they don't know that.
at, at which school?
This is SIU, Southern Illinois University in Carbondale.
Oh my God. That's my parents went there. That's actually where they met. So if there was no
Again, are you
Carbondale,
serious?
if there was no Carbondale, there would be no
There would be
Jordan.
no Jordan. Oh, and and the angels and everything opens up. See, that's how it works out.
Exactly.
That
That's
is
so
so
cool.
funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so speaking of the connection, so if anyone ever goes down there for school, if you ever go to the MassCom building, hopefully it's still up there. I was given an award my senior year before I left, because I worked in the office so much with the whole paper. And so I was given an award by like the school and some other big wig people. And so I still have my plaque. I still have it. But yeah, so my name's on the wall and a plaque there down there on campus.
That's pretty
That's pretty
awesome.
cool. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's so cool. So when you were leaving Carbondale, did you
Hmm.
have an idea of like what you wanted to do, what you wanted to be?
I
You know,
did.
yeah.
I definitely did. I wanted to stay within the whole media space. One thing I'll tell you and to all the listeners is that at that time, um, those of you that, if you remember that there was a lot of larger media companies buying other media companies. And so at that time, a lot of jobs within the field kind of got wiped out very quickly. So I wanted to stay
This is like what
within.
like the AOL when the AOL and Time
Hmm.
Media merged and
Yeah, yes,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So, because it was two phases of that. First, it went on in the early 90s, and then it happened again in the like mid 2000s ish.
Mhm.
So a lot of great jobs were kind of wiped clean. And so, you had a lot of regional like TV and radio and all these other like print media space items out there that they're no longer there now because they were bought out. So, I got into radio, but then I didn't really stay with it. Like I ended up doing a lot of like freelance work in radio. I ended up actually doing commercials for what we now call iHeart Radio at that point, which is like, kind of amazing. I was able to do that as being a young adult coming out of college. But I just wherever I could work and add that to my work level of history, that's what I did.
In what capacity? Like were you in ad sales? Were you in like production ops? Like in what aspect were you working?
Wherever I could work. And I say that way because I wanted to still keep that skill set like fresh. So during that time period, I ended up getting a phone call from a friend of mine. That call was to help set up a streaming online show. And so, at this point, there wasn't an Apple Music, there wasn't a Spotify, there wasn't any type of platform at all. This is like one of the first places that launched that kind of that streaming for online music. And so I ended up creating an online show where I featured artists. I interviewed a lot of what would be considered now very famous artists that were up and coming back then. Did that for about 10 years. I also
Any
worked with,
folks who we would know now, or any that you might remember off the top of your head?
I will tell you, I got into someone called Van Hunt.
Okay.
And Van Hunt was at that time, he was a major artist. He was more known for writing songs. And he ended up getting his own deal. And so he had two awesome, awesome albums that came out during that time period. Had a chance to meet Van and have him featured on my show. And he is now gone on to have some great, great things just come out with music wise. And he's also good people and actually one of my good friends. So Van Hunt is one that comes to mind.
Mhm.
Honestly, Jordan, there's so many people I've met over my career. I couldn't name them all off the top of my head, but it's a lot of great artists that I've had a chance to work with off of that space alone.
Yeah. Isn't it wonderful? Like you think about that, especially I imagine working in like radio, because there's
Mm-hmm.
so many artists, right? And
Yeah.
artists who like the general public will never ever hear about, but who really have
Yes.
something to say and really do what they do well and do like it must be really wonderful just to have been able to kind of just sort of the reason why I love doing this show. It's like there's
Mm-hmm.
so many
Yeah.
people in our business who are doing such interesting things and have done such interesting things and live such interesting lives. It's just so amazing to have the opportunity to share, even if it's just an hour with them
Yes.
in their present
Absolutely.
energy.
Yeah. And it's good because that's really how I got into getting back into the music business full time. Because at that point, I was living where, I was working a job that I sold ads online and offline. So I had a gig working that. I worked that job for about maybe like 3 or 4 years. And then I had my online voiceover persona that I was doing. And so one was like the gig that paid me all the time, and one was the job that I love that it's like, well, this is a true labor of love, but allowed me to network and meet people. And I could go to concerts and shows and talk to people and interview people. And then it still let me still keep that skill set fresh. So
Mhm.
it was important. I'll tell anyone sometimes it's important to get paid, especially nowadays. Like, please, you need to get paid for what you're doing for people. But
And you better
sometimes,
do it soon because eventually you're going to be replaced by
well,
AI.
yeah, that's we're not going to get into that conversation right now. Who knows? You can be talking to AI right now, Jordan. Are you
Yeah,
really talking to me?
Jordan
You
doesn't
sure?
even exist.
Jordan doesn't
I'm
exist.
a computer. This is the sequel to that movie Her.
Exactly. I'm talking to chat and Bard and the whole thing. So yeah, it's crazy what's going on within technology. But in all honesty, just that's really what's allowed me to kind of grow and meet people because I work on so many projects and sometimes, I didn't ask for a fee. I just wanted to kind of to be there because I needed to grow and learn a skill set that I needed. And like you said, like I've been blessed to meet some just awesome, awesome people that just, salt of the earth. I'll just say it that way. Just honestly nice people that I ended up becoming friends with, which is incredible. So it's not like you're a fangirl or fan guy, but you love these people and you enjoy their work, you enjoy what they do, but who they are to create that art is amazing. And they're awesome people and they're very, very diverse. So that's always been the greatest thing about my career is that I've met people, including like yourself, that smile, that we have a lot of we have similar backgrounds that kind of overlap each other. Now, like, for example, just you mentioning that your parents met at SIU, I never knew that, and we've spoken like nonstop. I never knew that, which is crazy. I have a lot of celeb friends because of being again in the Midwest and the South, and I have a large family that either we have crossed paths, either our families have, or we've been in the same areas and we didn't realize it, which is just it's just amazing that.
Do you think, I'm curious, now I want to wonder, like being based in the Midwest, do you think it makes it easier for you to cross paths with celebrities than it would if you lived in like LA or New York, where they're everywhere, but everyone's trying to like come at them for business development
Yeah.
versus say in the Midwest where most of the people aren't necessarily like deep in the business per se, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And like, do you think that like that's given you sort of an advantage than being like another person who happens to live in Los Angeles?
Here's what I'll say. I will say I'm a little different in that I've always maintained some sort of a corporate job, or I've always maintained like another gig away from my entertainment thing. And that's always been my blessing for me. So that's allowed me to relate to people a little differently. Where, yeah, we may have a discussion about business, we may have a discussion about a future project or something, but I can also say, hey, how are the kids? Or hey, how's your spouse? How's your mom? How's your dad? I'm not gonna say like we're like Rose off of the uh Golden Girls. Like we're not just we're not just aloof people that in the Midwest. So it's like we're not just that kind of Midwest driven like that. But I'll say that I'm different in that I understand the work of it because a lot of people see celebs, and this is just this is all types of being famous. A lot of the public sees people that are famous like, oh, well, you have all this money and all these resources and all these things, and it should be easy. It's like it's still no different than you working a job at McDonald's or working somewhere else. Really, it's the same exact thing. It's just the way in which you get your money and how often you get paid. It's just the
And it's less
truth.
permanent, right?
And
Because you're
and
basically you're like you're going from
you're
gig to gig. You don't even have a full-time
you're a
job.
contractor. No, right. And that's and I think and that's why like now as I've gotten older and I tell a lot of, I'm working with some newer up and coming artists and performers, and they get sent my way from other people that's been in this longer than I have. They're like, hey, talk to Jill. And so I'm gonna tell you, listen, this is what this is. And what you think it is and versus what's happening is not the same thing. Like treat this like a job. However, like you said, Jordan, just very well stated, this is like working as a contractor. You're not getting a steady job every 2 weeks. You don't have a set manager, you don't have a set, director or someone. It's not like that. You are really in charge of figuring out how to get paid and make your
Or
money.
mhm. Or even the
And
necessary, like you don't even necessarily have your next contract lined up.
exactly. So you're working currently, but you're planning for the next 4 or 5 steps.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not going to knock anyone that's in reality TV. I won't knock anyone that's doing any of that sort, but you know, um, being aware of your projects, being aware of what you're doing, everything counts. It's hey, everyone has the ability to go online, to have an opinion on things, and be involved with these various platforms of media, which is fine. However, that may impact your next check. Like that,
Mhm.
it can either feed you or leave you broke. So
Yeah.
it's the game is definitely very it's different, especially this new year. And we've seen some online things that's gone viral. It's like, ooh, that's messing up people's money. So, it's like and that's what I can share. So being from the Midwest, it helps a little bit, but I say more so of working and understanding what is the work of it. It's not all the glamour, it's not all the makeup and the hair and the having a million followers on IG. That's not the case. It's really understanding how are you getting paid and how can I help you make sure your money is there every time you go for a show or for an event or something. That's
Yeah.
really been my job.
I'll never forget you saying that reminds me. So I went to an arts conservatory for high school. called the
Mm-hmm.
Chicago Academy for the Arts.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the head of the musical theater department, Patricia Rusk, who
Mm-hmm.
passed away a year ago now, bless her
Mm.
soul.
Yeah.
Um, but we all went. She took us to one of the regional theaters, major regional theaters, is called Drury Lane, and they
Mm-hmm.
did a production of Jerry's Girls, this Jerry Mitchell review.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the actresses in the show is this Black actress who's very big and works a lot. I don't know if she still does or she's retired, because again, we're talking quite a while ago. But her
Mm-hmm.
name is Ife Butler.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember after the show, she came out and she talked to all of us students. And I'll never forget, she said, "You have to get a job." She said, "One of the
Yes.
things that's so wonderful is that my husband and I, have set us, we've set ourselves up in such a way that I can continue to pursue this without having to worry,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that I have everything else, going on in the background." And I'll
Yes.
never forget. So, after that, she goes backstage and we're leaving and we're under the awning of the theater waiting for the school bus. And she comes around. I will never forget. She drove like an ivory Chrysler Sebring, and her license plate said Ife. And as we're leaving, she drives past us and we kind of wave. And the last thing I hear her say, she goes, "Get a job." And then she drives.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. I'm telling you, that's it. That's it. Oh my God, that is awesome. That's awesome.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
the truth. Jordan, I'm telling you, like I have worked with some people, very, very talented people that, it gets to the point in their career where things have slowed down a little bit or they have just some additional expenses. It's like, well, you may have to look at getting a job or either, leaving where you are to go somewhere else in order for you to practice your craft on a local level where you're not doing we'll just say a national type of job and you're doing it locally. And it's a lot of pushback. And it's like, well, you know, I am more realistic probably than what I should be, but it's like life is life. And whether you're older and you are pursuing this field or you've been in this field for a long time, or if you're a young person that wants to get involved with it, I'll just tell anyone, you need to really have your money stacked up or saved up. And if you think that you're going to get into this and make a lot of money from the very first gig that you get into or exposure you get, you may, but for the most part, it may be money here, money there, and small little drops, and that's all you're going to get, and you have to keep going off of that because you and I both know the entire business structure, the whole model has changed. Whether it's music, whether it's film, TV, um, podcasting, the models very much so changed now, and the original people that kind of were the overseers of the business, they're older now and they're rolling off and they're either retiring. And so now you see a lot of younger men and women that are of a certain age set and they think differently. So it's
Well,
just,
they came up after the business changed. So like
yes,
their whole understanding of this is how it works is completely different than someone who
totally
might have
different.
come. Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
different. Right.
Like,
So
yeah, like yeah, like
it's, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I always joke with a friend of mine. We joke about how everything changed when you talked about that Napster era, how
Yeah.
that happened, and I feel like a lot of that happened like as we were kind of coming of age and like beginning our career. And it's like all of a sudden everything that you thought you knew about how to build a career and everything that you were kind of planning on this is how you build a career totally
Yes.
changed. Right.
Yes.
Like I
Yes.
remember like my thought is okay, you move to New York, you do
Mm-hmm.
Broadway, you do a daytime soap, you then move to
Yeah,
LA, you do a
that's right.
TV show, you transition to movies, and then you win an Oscar.
If
Right? I mean,
only so
easy, easy,
easy.
easy
It's
peasy,
happened.
right?
No, it's
But then
happened.
all of a
I can
sudden,
name off people.
yeah,
Yeah, because we know people have done that. Yes.
but now all of a sudden there's this thing called TikTok, and then there's this thing called YouTube, and then you go into auditions and they're like, how many followers do you have? And it's like, wait a second, this is a totally different world.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And what's crazy since you say, God, I'm thinking of, and I don't know, I can't, and listeners, please forgive me. I don't remember if Meg Ryan has won an Oscar. I think she was nominated for the movie she did with Billy Crystal, maybe
Oh,
a few other
Harry
ones.
and Harry, how Harry
Harry,
met Sally.
yeah, but great example because she actually was on daytime soaps in the mid '80s,
Mm-hmm.
and you mentioned it's like, yeah, there are several people that have that was the original
Julianne
Julianne
Moore,
Moore.
John
Um,
Stamos,
yes,
Ryan
yes,
Phillippe. I mean, the list goes on.
exactly.
Like
Go
that was
on.
like where it's like you started out in community theater,
Mm-hmm.
then you went to New York to do theater, and then the first step in getting onto like a national arena was a soap
Was
opera.
a soap opera. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was the way that she went. I mean, no different than, the music side. Music side, if you were someone just went through this recently, used to go out to LA and you got a gig on the Sunset Strip, whether, getting exposure, whether you got into one of the clubs that's still out there. Awesome, awesome experience, by the way. If anyone out there listening has a chance to do that, you should go out to LA and visit some of the venues out there. I mean, it's like legendary places
Yeah,
out
I
there.
like the whiskey go
Yeah, the
go,
Whiskey a
the
Go
rainbow.
Go.
Did the
Yep.
rainbow close? I feel like the rainbow closed. I feel like someone told me that, or maybe it didn't close. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't put that out there. Haven't closed, but like the rainbow, the
Yeah.
Viper
Viper
Room.
Room.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
lot of great places that these bands that are legendary were discovered and they were signed and got deals. And that was the way, if you had a band, that's what you did. But now, and then even in the 2000s, a lot of the labels would kind of scout. They would go to different cities and they would go to whatever that was hot there. And they would, listen to what was hot in that area. And then you got your deal, and that was that. Or you got on the Showtime at the Apollo if you were a certain genre. If you
Mm-hmm.
if you got on whatever, you got sold by another artist. That's
Star
that's
Search.
how Star Search. Oh my gosh, Ed McMahon. Exactly. you know, it's awesome. That's what you did. But like you said, now it's just how many followers do you have? How many fans do you have? What are your numbers for streaming what you've done currently? Um, so it's the game has definitely changed. So anyone kind of packing a duffel bag and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna hightail it out to LA. I'm gonna hightail it to New York. I'm gonna go to Nashville and go sing, or I'm going to Austin to go sing, or going to Seattle to go sing." You know, things have changed. Things are very expensive now. It used to be, like I said, you could still have a part-time job and still do what you love to do and not live in a bad spot. And that's not like that now. It is,
Yeah.
things are very expensive. So, you really need to be prepared and plan before you go and pursue those things in your life. But, try, but you need to be ready and be realistic about whatever you're going into.
Yeah. Yeah. You should do master classes.
Yeah, I feel it's funny because, again, I've seen so much in my career, and I've seen people of all backgrounds and all genres, and we've had a lot of discussions, conversations. And, again, I have the benefit of having lived, let's say, a non-celeb driven life. I've lived a private life. This is probably the first major interview I've done in a long time, like in years. But because I'm usually the one not on the other side of running the interview, or, doing the edits, or working with the artists and making sure things are done correctly and it sounds right. That's always been my job. But I've seen a lot being in that position, and it's a shame because people are very talented, and you don't want to see someone fail at what they're doing. However, it's like, hey, you're talented, but you may not be good in this field, or you may not make it in the city. Let's kind of be realistic about what you're doing and what you want to do. And it's just having just an honest conversation with yourself and with the people around you. It's not saying hey, you're gonna fail at this, and just, breaking spirits, breaking hearts. That's terrible. But really just encouraging is saying, listen, if you want to do this, here's what you can do, and here's where you should start. And
Yeah.
I think that that's okay. I think it's all right.
Yeah. Do you, having worked with so many people, like, is that a hard thing? Because I think the thing about when you think about artists, right?
Hmm.
Not necessarily, we're not talking about people who just want to be famous. When I'm talking about artists, right? Because being an artist, artists are often usually often very sensitive people,
Yes.
and artists are and when you are an artist, right? You're really exposing yourself. How do you have those conversations when you know what I mean? Because it's
Yeah.
like I know you're exposed, your heart is there, but your heart should be there. Sorry. And I know that you've, for the last 20 years, you thought, or the last 10 years, you thought that that's where it's supposed to go. Like, how do you have those difficult conversations?
Sure. Usually before with me, how I work with everyone, and this is true, and Jordan, you know me pretty well. You know me pretty well. I have a good rapport with people. I'm not going to be critical or pull things apart from someone that I can't have that discussion with. That's first of all.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, I need to understand what are your goals. Because the thing is like, listen, I can have someone, I've known someone that, all they wanted to do was to be featured in this, um, on this TV show. Say it that way. That's all they want. Only,
Okay,
they're,
that's a really pretty easy goal, actually. You just have to
okay.
figure out the, yeah.
Yeah. But now mind you, now if you're gonna spend all your money and your lights about to be turned off and these things are going on around you, but your goal is this. It's like, just everything else is kind of chaotic around you, but your goal is this. We can get to that goal. Now I'm concerned because I'm a human being and I care. Hey, did you eat Tuesday? Like, are I mean, for real, I'm Jordan, you would not believe just the conversation. It's like, you've got some things going on here. I know this is your goal, but let's kind of get some balance around your house right here. And it's like, and I can say that in a way that's like tactful and tasteful, but out of concern and not making that person feel bad. And
Yeah.
that's what I do. And so yeah, I've had people, oh, I want to do this. It's like, I want to, okay, we can get you there, but what else do you want? Because once you hit this mark, what's your next? If there is a next, then what are you doing this for? And that's really what I think people are not ready for that conversation. Like once you've
Right.
hit this goal and you don't have any plans beyond that, or you don't really have a clue, and you have so many things are not stable in your home or stable with you. Once you hit that, you're gonna burn out. You're gonna flame out. You're gonna just kind of go away. And so what are your next steps for your life? Because this is a life thing. This is your career. I mean, you know the saying, people they spend how many hours a day at a job or how many hours a year with people that's not their family. You're
Mhm.
spending a lot of time in your career. So where are we going with this? Like how is this going to end? Like what is the big picture for your life with this?
Right. Yeah. Have you ever like the answer is probably yes multiple times. Have you ever, been in a situation where you're just like, you know what, you're clearly not hearing me, or you don't want to hear me, and you've put your head in the sand and you're just headstrong, and I've got to bounce because this is not gonna like work.
Yeah. Well, you said it
That
that way
wasn't,
too.
I swear,
Yes.
that wasn't a leading question. I just,
No, 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 no. I
but
have
it's, mhm.
it's a few of them. Yeah, it's a few of them where it's just been like, okay, you're very, I mean, incredibly talented people. One thing I'll tell you is the hard conversation is explaining to someone that the things you want to do versus your abilities don't match,
Mhm.
and just saying that flat out, because again, like I'm gonna waste my time lying to you, misleading you, and you're gonna waste your time because you're expecting for me to kind of give you steps to do something that's not going to work because you don't have the skills that you do, that you think you have. You just don't. You have talent, you have skills that will work for these things, but these other things you want to do, this isn't like something where you can practice or you can call someone. No, you don't
It's just it's
have
not
this.
what you like. You can't
Mm-mm.
be an opera singer. You just don't. You can't stay on pitch, or you
There,
can't be. You're not going to be a soccer player because you have no coordination.
I mean, coordination or just you're not physical, and it's not, like I said, I'm one, like I'll never sit there and say you can't become anything. I think that's just a horrific way to treat a human being. Because like you said, you have people that you have a talent that's been given to you by some higher power of some degree, if you believe that. And so if you're pursuing that, you want to get paid and you want a career from that. My job's kind of say, well, this is what I see. And usually with me, I'll usually consult with other people that I trust, that I will say, hey, XYZ, look at this person with me. What am I missing? So this isn't like where I'm just, it's all my brain trust of information. Is this not the case? Like I definitely will consult other people and just say, can you look at this person or look at what they're doing and what they want to do and tell me what you see and tell me what I'm missing. So
Right.
usually it's a consensus of people I work with kind of to work on that, to kind of give that information to people.
Do you what do you find is the reception? Do you usually like, is that kind of the end, or do you find that the folks, some of the folks that you've had those kind of come to Jesus talks with, they kind of pivot and they start seeing it and they start saying, okay, I'm gonna have to mourn this idea of what I thought I would be, but you know what? Let me just, dive head first into, where we think that we could really make headway.
Sure. For the most part, it's usually like, oh my gosh, no one's ever told me that. Thank you, because I didn't know. Or
Right.
no one set me down and kind of broke that down so I understood. Because I'm a big person where let me kind of break this down so what I'm saying makes sense and it's not something where it's just blunt and it's direct and it's not nice. But I'm a sensitive person myself, and I care about people. And Jordan, it's yeah, I am my own Mary Poppins. It's a thing, and that's all right. It's okay. it's, I make sure to make sure when I'm explaining to someone, again, it is gentle, but it is fair, because I want you to win. I want you to work. I want this, whatever you're doing. I want it to work. That's why I'm here to help you. That's why I'm here to assist you. There have been instances where it's like, I don't believe you. I was like, well, okay. And that's that's just that, because it's like other people have likely told you the same thing. And then I'm telling you the same thing as well, but I'm just kind of making it be very simple. And it's like, listen, I'm not making this up. I'm not trying to make you feel any type of way, but what you're trying to do is not going to be successful. It's like, well, okay. And usually what I've seen, unfortunately, is that they've gone about their way and, move through life, and, they don't end up where they wanted to be at, which is very sad, and it happens.
Yeah. How do you define yourself? Like, I know I was joking at the top of the show. It's like the project ops manager of the stars. Like, how do you describe yourself, or how do you, like, what do you consider yourself, or what do you like? How do you, if someone says, "Oh, what do you do?" How do you, what's your like elevator pitch?
That's a great question. It changes. It changes based upon, the life and the things I've worked on since the last time that question was asked to me. Because it's just the
Mhm.
truth. Like I'm a person that I believe in learning, I believe in evolving and changing and just getting better and meeting more people and connecting to people. I think I would definitely say I am a connector of people. Like I help connect people. That's really what I do. I mean, I get phone calls for events, or I'll get someone's going to reach out to say, I can't find this person and I need to get something cleared. Can you help me find them? It's like, okay,
Right.
cool. Then I'll take care of that. It's like, well, there's probably a fee. So let's talk talk about that fee before we get this wrapped up. But I'm a connector of people, and I help structure things. That's really kind of what I do. And then the whole production and this, that's just a secondhand thing that I do. It's just natural. But I help connect people. That's what I do.
Do you have a project, or that was one that was so memorable in a really great way that you were like, this is like, this type of experience, this it doesn't quite get better than this, like something that you remember being just like amazing.
Gosh, I would have to think about that. I one memory that's like a like oopsie memory. Was This was right before the pandemic became what it was. Um, I was working, being a part of the event with the Grammys, and they were honoring Prince,
Oh my God.
and
Well, this is
mhm.
so funny. Like all these connections. our very first show was
Mhm.
celebrating Prince because the week it was airing right after our show premiered, and so we had Sue
Oh,
Carwell, we had Elisa, we had Jelly Bean, and the very premiere of our show was celebrating Prince. I'm sorry, yeah, because our very first show was right after it was recorded, but then the following weekend or whatever, it was airing, and that was our very first show here on
get
Showtime.
out. I didn't know that. Oh my God. That's crazy. I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I knew someone had did a radio show around that time period, but I had no idea
that was
that
the show,
that was that show.
and the theme was celebrating Prince because CBS and the Grammys are honoring him. Yep.
Yeah. Get out. Well, let's add this to the mix of that story. So, I it was I know it was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and they were, I mean, again, my hats off to them because it was it was a great production. A lot of work went into that. And so somehow I was working with a few people. We were trying to get just, and Jordan, you probably know this. When if you work in a show or an award show, you have to sign paperwork and do this, and hotels and all of these things have to take place for everyone's going to be on that event or a part of that event. And there was some information about some of the set list stuff. It was something crazy. So long story short, I ended up getting the number to one of the producers of the show. And
Mm-hmm.
I needed to get something sent to me for like paperwork. I needed to have done like ASAP. It was behind a couple of days, and I was at it last minute to take care of something for a few people. And so here I am texting, calling them, and I'm thinking that this is like a PA or something, or someone just kind of working on the staff. And I had no idea this was the actual producer. And so I called her, and she was like in the restroom. And she's like, "Hi, so and so, so and so." I'm like, "Oh, okay. I'm looking for," "Oh, yeah, I'm the producer." I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry." And she was washing her hands and stuff, so everything was sanitary and safe, so it wasn't anything bad. But it was just like, "I am so very sorry to call you in the restroom, but I need to get these contracts, and I'm trying to get an email address or something, and whoever is supposed to take care of this, I got it late." So she's like, "Oh yeah, don't worry, I'll have the so and so." But yeah, this is like the big wig for the entire show answering my phone call. I'm like, "I am so sorry to call you in the restroom." So I would have waited had I known, but I didn't know that's who I
Well,
was calling.
she answered, so
She did, and I was very thankful. I was very she was sweet. She was nice. So yeah, that was that was very, very funny that night. I
I love
think,
that.
yeah, because my life, yeah, I always tell people like it's rare. I can't make up a lot of stuff because these events have just been just it's just funny. Like who can experience something like that, and it's just crazy. I think I was gonna think something happened in a concert I was doing one time. And I tell you what, yeah, it was there was a concert in Detroit that I was there for. And I wasn't supporting, but I was just kind of actually enjoying the show and hanging out with some of the band and some other things. So there was an after actual concert, smaller concert that we went to, private party we went to, and my friends went in there, and then they were playing, and it was like a little vibe thing going on. And so when we walked in, um they stopped playing and said, "You're late." And we just we just froze like, what? So it was the most awkward, it was the most awkward moment in my life. And I don't get embarrassed very easily, but I remember like holding my purse like, I don't know how this happened, but apparently you all were waiting for us. But it was a joke, but it wasn't. Like, oh, okay. And then they just kept playing. I was like, oh, but like they stopped the after set and was like, looked at, said, "You're late."
That's
Like,
kind of like diva-ish. I like that. Like that's kind of like a diva behavior. That's kind of I kind of want to figure out how to add something like that to my repertoire. That's
you had to be there, Jordan. It was something to see. It's like, I'm like, what in the world? Like, we just, yeah. And because so the backstory was that there was another show that was going on after that main show that we did go to. And so we are just kind of just, hey, hey, how you guys doing? paying our respects and just, shaking hands, kissing babies, whatever. Just, how you doing? We left that set and we went over to the other set. Again, it was such an industry event type of thing. And so we went there and then we walked in there, some private place, and then we walked upstairs and then they were playing and they just stopped and said, "You're late." It's like, what in the world? Sorry.
As you were.
Yeah, as you were, like, keep playing then. All right. Yeah. So those are a couple of things that come to mind. So
Is there any experience that you haven't had that you want to have, that you still want to have? Like, oh my goodness, if I have the opportunity to do this or work with this person, that would be like so amazing.
um I think at some point, I've kind of worked in different parts of between music and film. Um, and then I worked in, IT and technology on projects and stuff like that. I would love to, at some point, I think I would love to kind of get back into, doing, uh, well, no, that's not true. I can't. Yeah, honestly, there isn't anything that's like jumping out at me right now. Just
Okay.
being honest, because I worked on so many things, and this projects come my way. It's just an honor to be asked to be part of something important and special, which is cool. Um, and like I said, I'm at the point in my life that I'm giving back and sharing knowledge the best way I can. And no matter the age, no matter whatever, I want to see people win in what they want to do, and helping people so they're not struggling is very important to me. And just sharing some of those experiences is very important to me now in my career. So that's I think that's what I want to do more of, is just sharing information. So again, you have someone that wants to go become an actor, they want to get music, or even just like a regular job, like a non-celebrity based job. How can I help you? At least give you information that's going to help you win. That's important to me now in my life.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Final question for you, because we then have to go to our sponsors. All these different experiences that you've had, what's
Mhm.
the one thing that you know for sure you never want to do again? And if someone comes to you and says, "Hey, will you help me with this?" It would make you just run in the opposite direction.
What experience have I had that I would just say, no, I'm good? I'm at the point now that, I don't mind, like, again, taking on work and not getting paid for things, kind of just to say, hey, I'll help out. I think when it comes to a major lift of work, I'm at that point that it's like, yeah, we're gonna have to figure out some sort of like a arrangement of payment. And great, I'm not saying I've done my entire career for free, because Lord knows, no, I've gotten paid for a lot of a lot of things I've worked on. Um, but I would definitely be cautious before getting pulled into a major project where it's like, yeah, we're gonna pay you in ta-da exposure. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. So the whole exposure thing, it's like, no, 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 no. I would definitely say too, and this is for anyone that's listening. Myself, I've worked on a lot of projects, and I will say proudly, I made a lot of people a lot of money. I made a lot of companies a lot of money in variety of work that I've done. Um, I would again, speak again, saying that at some point, if you're working on a project or anything, and you're not being paid or you're not being acknowledged and paid properly, you need to kind of have that hard talk and that hard discussion with whoever you're working with or working for, to kind of say, what are next steps to kind of improve this. That is something that I would run from if I, you know, if I had to work on a project where the hours were crazy, or work on something that is very taxing, or just around some very toxic people that are not healthy to the overall project as a whole, I would definitely probably say no, thank you. I'm gonna do something different. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Well, here's to a very, very productive and lucrative 2024.
Absolutely. For all of us here. Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today. We have to join. Where can we find you? If we want to find you online, where can we find you?
Sure. You can find me online. I have my website for my company, so UltraVioletMediaHoldings.com. That's my website. You can find me there. I am Jill Monroe Media on LinkedIn. Find me there and just kind of see my resume of work. It's quite lengthy.
Well, thank you again. And thank you all out there in Radio Land. And we'll see you next week, or talk to you next week right here on Hot 702.5 FM Las Vegas.